The story of Purnanjana. One sage Narada visited King Prachina Barhi and criticized him for being immersed in sacrificial rituals all the time. What is the use of all these rituals? They do not result in the attainment of happiness or the cessation of sorrows. Prachina Barhi then asked Narada to bestow him with true knowledge. I will tell you the story of King Purnanjana, said Narada. Then the sage said, Purnanjana was a famous king. He had a friend named Avijnata, so called because his activities were unknown. The king went in search of a suitable abode for himself, and during this search came across a beautiful city with 9 gates. The city was very affluent. It was surrounded by a defensive wall, had moats and watchtowers. The city had beautiful mansions, bazaars, crossroads, and highways. Outside the city were beautiful gardens surrounded by trees, and many colorful birds were present in them. There, in a garden, Purnanjana saw a beautiful lady who was 16 years old. She was guarded by a 5-hooded serpent. She also had 10 attendants. She had come there looking for a suitable spouse for herself. As soon as he saw her, Purnanjana fell in love with her. Who are you? He asked her. I do not know who I am, nor do I know who built this beautiful city, but I want to marry you, she said. The maiden was called Puranjani. The couple entered the city and lived there happily for 100 years. Puranjana was deeply attached to his wife and children. He followed his beloved queen in whatever she did. When she laughed, he also laughed, and when she was sad, he also was sad. King Puranjana became fully immersed in worldly pleasures. He had many sons and daughters who were known as Pauranjanis. The king became oblivious to the passage of time. Then Chandavega, who was the chief of the Gandharvas, attacked his city and caused major damage to it. Meanwhile, Durbaga, the daughter of Kala, sought a spouse for herself, but nobody wanted her. She approached Baya, the lord of the Yavanas, and proposed to him. Baya said to Durbaga, I have found a suitable match for you with the help of my intuitive vision. You move about without being seen and enjoy all the creation owing its existence to karma. Sally forth with my army and bring about the destruction of all created beings. Here is my brother Prajvara. You be my sister. Soon Durbaga took over the city of Puranjana. The troops of Baya entered the city through the various entrances. Puranjana was divested of his glory. His wife became cold and indifferent. His sons and grandsons were disobedient. Puranjana reluctantly proceeded to quit his city, and Prajvara set fire to the entire city. Even then, Puranjana was very worried about his wife and children. At that moment, Bhaya seized him and Puranjana passed away. Since he was constantly thinking about his wife at the time of his demise, he was born as a woman, the beautiful daughter of the Vidarbha king. This daughter married Malayadwaja, the ruler of the Pandya kingdom. They had 7 sons and a daughter. After ruling for many years, Malayadwaja divided his kingdom among his sons and left for the Kulachala mountain to worship Lord Hari. He performed severe austerities to attain moksha. His queen also followed him and served him dutifully. When the king left his body, the queen became very sad and began to cry. She was about to set herself on fire. At that moment, a Brahmana appeared before the queen and asked her, "Who are you? Who is this man whose death you mourn? Do you recall your friend Avijnata, whom you left to seek worldly enjoyments? You are neither the daughter of the Vidarbha king, nor are you the spouse of Puranjani. Earlier you thought that you were a man, now you think that you are a woman. You are neither. You and I are a pair of swans in the Manasa lake. If we realize our true nature, you and I are the same." After hearing this, Puranjana, who was actually a swan in the Manasa lake, realized his true self. Narada thus ended the story of Puranjana. "I do not understand this story," said King Prachina Barhi. He said, "Bhagavanste vachosmabir na samyag avagamyate, kavayastad vijananti na vayam karma mohitaha." Bhagavatam, 4th Skanda, 29th Adhyaya, 1st verse, which means, "O revered sage, we are unable to follow your teaching properly as we are engrossed in rituals. Only wise people can rightly grasp it." Sage Narada then proceeded to explain the story to King Prachina Barhi. He said, one should understand Puranjana to be the Jiva. The friend of the Jiva, referred to as Avijnata, is God, so called because he is not fully known by the Jivas. Puranjani is the human intellect which gives rise to the notions of I and mine. The 10 attendants of Puranjani are the 5 senses of perception and the 5 organs of action. The city having the 9 gates is the human body. The 5 hoods of the serpent are the 5 pranas. Chandavega is the passage of time. The daughter of Kala represents old age. Prajvara represents fever. The Yavana chief Bhaya represents death. Mental anguish and physical disorders are the troops of Bhaya. Devotion to the Lord will lead to an aversion of worldly pleasures and will lead to ultimate reality. After revealing the truth about the Jivatma and the Paramatma in the form of swans and taking leave of Prachina Barhi, the great sage Narada proceeded to the abode of the Siddhas. Then King Prachina Barhi instructed his sons to take care of the people and retired to the hermitage of sage Kapila for practicing penance. With a concentrated mind, he constantly worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Govinda and became one with the Lord. Prachina Barhi Rajarshihi Prajasargabhirakshane Adishya Putranagamat Tapase Kapilashramam Tatraikagramanaveero Govinda Charanambujam Vimukta Sangonubhajan Bhaktya Tat Samyatamagat. Bhagavatam, 4th Skanda, 29th Adhyaya, verses 81 and 82.